This block, this whole building, this whole development is renowned for airlocks, and that's exactly what's happening here. So although we've got the Wylar pump there, we've put that through its purge program a number of times, and the boiler keeps locking out. Josh is just trying to reset it, but it keeps locking out. So welcome to this week's video. Bit of a different setting for the introduction. As a lot of you may know, I've become a dad again. Here's my little princess just snoozing away. Look, she even gave you guys a smile. Don't get that often. But yeah, so this is my life for the next 3 weeks. Well, it's been a week. Well, she's 5 days officially. It'll be a week on Sunday. I'm going to be off for another 2 working weeks. So planning to be back at work on the 4th of September. So hopefully there'll be more breakdowns coming in from then, and I'll be able to get sort of a little bit more interesting content, I'd say. But in the meantime, I'm still got some content that I've recorded before I had my baby. Not me personally, but obviously we had our baby. And I'm just trying to get some content out to keep things going and, you know, keep you guys engaged as well. So hopefully you enjoyed this one, and there is a little bit of a twist at the end of this one, so keep watching and I'll explain the outcome of the job at the very end. But in the meantime, I hope you enjoy it, and please, as always, don't forget to like, subscribe and hit that little bell button. She will really appreciate it. I will really appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of the video. Thank you. Okay, so today we are in Repton Park. Beautiful, beautiful development. And we're working up there. So we've got to bring a thermal store out, and we're going to be converting it to an unvented cylinder with S-plan. So Josh has landed the job. Amir's going to be an extra pair of hands, and I'm going to be assisting and watching and laughing. Okay, so customers kindly emptied out the cupboard that we're working in. Not. So yeah, we're just going to empty this out, and then this is what we're working with. So luckily the system's already a sealed system. We're not doing anything with the boiler today. It's literally just a case of taking out the system mate and putting in the new thermals, not new thermals, so the new unvented cylinder. So all that's going to be ripped out. We're going to be marking up what our primaries are. Well, basically identifying all the pipework first, and then we can start draining down and ripping everything out. Let's get to it. Okay, so I've got the cupboard cleared out and just identifying all the pipes, what's what. Found our cold main, which is luckily just up here, and the stopcock does turn off. Now, easiest way to identify your pipework, I always start with the pump. So the direction that the pump is going is that way. So that means that the 22mm pipe going into it, that's going to be our primary flow. So that's going back there. So that means that right-hand pipe is our primary flow. Then obviously coming out of there, coming out of the cylinder, blah, 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 that is the cylinder return. That's going up there, straight up there. That is going to be our primary return. And the same way, that 22mm pipe teeing into there, that's going to be our heating return. Then there is also a 3-port here. So just use the 3-port to identify which is your hot water circuit, which is this side. So this is all going to come out anyway, so we don't have to worry about this side. But on the right hand side here, that's our heating flow. So following that pipe around the back of the cylinder, that brings us to this one. So that's our heating flow, our heating return. Now the domestic side, we've got our filling loop here. So easiest way to identify it, filling loops on there. That's your cold coming off of there. Cold is going into the cylinder, cold is going into the blending valve, cold is coming from there. That's our cold mains. Last one, well, the last pipe standing is going to be the hot pipe by process of elimination. But again, just to double check it, coming out of the cylinder here, going to your blending valve, going out, coming up there. So we've got heating flow, heating return, cold mains, hot water, primary return, primary flow. Pipes identified. Now we can start cutting out, ripping out, whatever. And sod's law, we've got a seized drain off. So I'm going to try and take this out, get that out. Got rubble sack here, got the wet vac here. And we're going to try and get the rubber out and then jam the little insert back in, and then hopefully try and get it draining. What? Ah, hot water in my face, nice. Right, so whilst it's draining down, disconnecting all the wiring side of things. Now, the cylinder stat is all going to be new, so we're not worried about that, but the room stat, we are keeping the same. So we want to identify which is our room stat cable coming into the wiring center. Easiest way to do this is use your zone valve. So we've got a 3-port here. So follow the 3-port cable coming into the wiring center, which is this one here. Now, the white on your 3-port is going to be your call for heat from your room stat. So you find that here, trace that white cable. Let me just get a little screwdriver. So there's our white cable there. That's connected to this black cable here, which has got a red sleeve on it. So we know that's our call for heat from the room stat. Now, generally, they're all going to be in the same core cable. So it's going to be this cable here. So this we know is our room stat cable. Now, just to confirm, which is going to be our common on the room stat, process of elimination, you're going to say it's brown. But if you're not, let's not assume. Let's just follow that brown to this terminal here. That terminal is connected to this orange cable here. Follow that up here, and that goes to number 4 in our twin channel programmer, which is heating on. So we now know that by following these wires around, the brown here, that's our heating on. So that's our common to the room stat, and the black is our call from the room stat. So when we're rewiring this as an S plan, we know where to put which wire. So when we have our twin channel programmer back on, that number 4 is going to go back to that brown, and the black cable is going to go to the brown on the 2-port valve for heating. That will then tell it to motor over when it gets a demand and tell the boiler to come on for heating. So whenever you're trying to figure out what wire is what in your wiring center, always start from your zone valve and work your way backwards from there, because your zone valve wires will always be the same. So finally got the old thermal store out. Still a bit of water left in the flame return pipe, so I've just push fit caps on there for now. Probably stick a 20mm lever valve on the bottom, and then we can just drain it out, because there's nowhere low level to drain it out really. And then we can start cutting stuff back where we need it, and then start planning how we want to do our pipe work on the right hand side. So just try and drain out the last few bits of water, then we can make a plan. Luckily our discharge is already there, so I haven't got a problem doing anything with there. It's kind of in the middle, but might be able to cut it low and bring it left or right to the side if we need to. But first things first, just want to get the rest of the water out, and then make a plan of where we're going to put all the pipe work and all the components on the right hand side. What are you looking at, Josh? Subway. Right, he's having his lunch. Hot and colds are done, so put lever valves on the hot and colds up there, so we can obviously service it. Well, service valves, combi valves there, coming across there, up to the vessel, scale reducer into the cylinder. So water's back on, we're just letting that fill up. Then I'll open the hot valve, and then we can make sure that we've got hot water running out of all the taps, and then made a start on the heating side. So we were initially going to put the pump coming up there, but we're going to put it on this side, so that if it ever needs changing or anything like that, it's easier to access rather than being tucked away in that corner. So the plan is bring the pump up here, put a drain off down here on the heating flow, come up here, tee off for a zone valve to go into the heating there, then up again, another zone valve to go to the hot water here, and then tee off with an AAV coming up there, and then that will go around, bypass going around there, and then into the return. And then also we need to tie a vessel, so filling loops up there as well, so we need to tie a vessel somewhere as well. Haven't quite thought about exactly where we're going to put that there, but we're getting there, making progress. It's a bit of a slog. I hate installs. Give me breakdowns all day long, no problem. I hate installs. I just can't get my head around planning the pipe work, but there's 3 of us. So Amir's here, he's gaining some experience. Me and Josh are cracking on with the install. So Josh is pretty much doing the pipe work, planning it out, and I'm coming in and doing the soldering. So we're trying to do a bit of tag teaming to try and get things moving, because there's not really enough space for 2 people to be working here. So domestic side's done now. As long as there's no leaks, we're fine, and then we can carry on with the heating side. It's going to be a long old day, but let's see if hopefully, well, we got to get it done today. Luckily the owner's not here, so we can stay here as late as we want to do it, but we want to try and get it done today as much as possible. So we're making some progress. Josh is having a little disco with the laser in there, but so hot and cold is on. Did have a bit of a leak on this T here, so luckily managed to resolder that. The heating side, let me step out here, is taking shape. So brought the pump in there, then we've teed off for the 2 zone valves, gone around the back there, tightened the heating flow. Top one is a hot water zone valve, and that's just coming around there, going into the top connection there, which is our hot water flow. Josh is now just doing the bypass and the expansion vessel for the heating side. So the filling loop and all that's all on there, so that's all done. Once the bypass is in, we can tie in the cylinder return. The return is down there, so we need to get both the bypass and the cylinder return into there, and then still do the wiring, and then also the PRVs as well for the heating, the combi valve, and the TPRV as well. So still a fair bit to go. It's what, 6:30, and yeah, I'm not even going to put a time frame on this. It is what it is. We're going to finish whatever time we finish. We need to get it done today, so let's see how we get on. Right, we're all piped up. System, I don't know if you can see, I know it's a bit dark. 1.5 bars. Did have a leak on that 28mm fitting, because that was an old bit of pipes, so yeah, had to literally douse it in solder to try and make sure it doesn't leak again. But everything's full now. We're at 1.5 bar pressure, so we've taken the primary flow there onto the pump, drain off on the bottom there, pump coming up, heating zone valve that ties into the heating flow there, coming up there, hot water zone valve coming around there, into the top of the cylinder for the hot water flow, coming back out there, balancing valve back onto the return, and then the bypass, we just brought it straight down into there. An AAV vessel, potable vessel, unvented cylinder, scale reducer. Everything's in, everything's full, and we have no more leaks now, thankfully.
We've done it.
Huh? Done it. Yeah, done it. It's holding now, so now we've still got the wiring to do, so we're going to get that done now. And then I don't know if any of you guys work in Repton Park in Chigwell. This is my first job doing here, but Josh has done a couple, and from what we've heard from pretty much everyone is that everything's on drops, so it's just none for airlocks. So they've actually put, when they've had the previous system in, they put these 2 drain offs here, and apparently they're there to be able to help clear airlocks. So we'll see, because yeah, everything just goes up into the ceiling space and then just down, drops down. Is it raining outside? No, it's just the wind. Yeah, so it's been a bit of a slog, but we managed to get it all piped up. We've tried to keep it as neat as possible. I know some of you may not like it, some of you may have something to say about it, which is fine. Go ahead, comment. I really don't care. It's done, it's functional. We've tried to keep it as neat as possible, and it works. Well, we don't know yet. We don't know. Don't jinx it. We haven't wired it up and we haven't cleared all the airlocks, but in theory, it should work. So wiring left to do, and then have a little clear up and then see what happens. The time now is 8:22. Would you reckon midnight?
No. I don't know.
He's being optimistic. I hope not either. Right, let's crack on. Right, I'm talking a little bit quieter because it's 11 o'clock at night. So we've just finished. Josh has got to come back tomorrow, do a few finishing touches. So PRV, TPRV, that's got to go into that 28mm back there. Oh, I just said the AAV go. This block, this whole building, this whole development is renowned for airlocks. And that's exactly what's happening here. So although we've got the Wylar pump there, we've put that through its purge program a number of times, and the boiler keeps locking out. Josh is just trying to reset it, but it keeps locking out. So he's going to come back tomorrow and try and do that. Wiring and everything's all done as well. It's just got to be tied up. Obviously it's late, so we can't tack the cables in, but they're in place. We basically use 2 sets of fibre connectors off the zone valves, and got a 3/4 off the pump, bring them around there, back to there, into the Wago wiring center along with the programmer there. So this will all get tidied up tomorrow. All those cables are going to get clipped to the back wall. So it will get done, but it will get done tomorrow because it's 11 o'clock at night and we're not going to start banging nail clips into the wall now and stuff like that. So yeah, it's been a very long day. Managed to get it pretty much all done. The cylinder initially took about, well, it didn't drain down till probably about 12:30, so we didn't actually start being able to do any actual work until about 1 o'clock this afternoon. So yeah, it's been a long slog, but had a couple of leaks. That's all sorted now. Now it's just a case of trying to get the system back up and running, which yeah, Josh is going to come and tackle tomorrow. So for today, this is it. Converted the thermal store to an unvented cylinder on an S-plan. Job's done. I'm out. So I said I'd be doing a little bit of a recap of this video at the end of it. So the outcome was, it took Josh 3 days to clear that airlock. He went back the next day, he did the TPRV and the PRV and all that. Pretty much spent the whole, he'd only booked out, I think, or he'd booked himself out for another half day or so to do the finishing stuff and then try and clear the airlocks. But didn't work that day. He was there for the whole day. Went back the third day. That's when I went back as well to give him a hand. And what we ended up doing, unfortunately, by this stage, we were just like, we wanted to get it done. So we didn't get a chance to get final pictures and stuff because we were a little bit disheartened at the whole job by the end of it. But where the cylinder flow was going in after the zone valve, we ended up cutting in another AAV there. So once we put that AAV in, it helped, but I was there for a good few hours with him, just trying to clear the airlock. And by the end of it, Josh had pretty much mains flushed the whole system. It was a real nightmare. It's like I said, if anyone works around Chigwell in Essex, you've worked in Repton Park, it is an absolute nightmare to try and clear these airlocks because everything's on drops. So what you ended up having to do is isolate each radiator one by one, get the air through one, push it out through those drain offs that were dropping in from the top, then move on to the next one and the next one and the next one and so on and so forth until the boiler then started staying clear. And Josh told me that the water was coming out pretty dark initially, and then by the end of it, he ended up mains flushing the whole system. And yeah, customer got a free mains flush out of it as well. So yeah, it's one of those jobs where, you know, once you're in, you think, why did I take this sort of job on? Once you clear it, once you get past it, you pick up these little tips, and hopefully it doesn't happen again. But if it does, you have a little bit more of a better chance of getting through it. So yeah, that was the outcome of that. It was meant to be a day job and maybe half a day the next day to finish things off. Ended up being 3 days. So it just goes to show some jobs, they just don't go to plan or as you expect it to. But yeah, end of that one. Thanks for watching and catch you guys soon.